Hello, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss an overview of the theories of origin of state. Let's delve into it. Everything has an origin. Man has an origin, country, the state has an origin. United Nations was formulated in 1945 and the Bretton Woods system was established. So you can say the Bretton Woods system's origin is United Nations. So everything has an origin. So the theories of origin of state are a theory of divine right, theory of force, social contract theory, patriarchal theory, matriarchal, and evolutionary theory. So the first theory of divine right is the first theory of origin of state. The theory of divine right. The theory of divine right can be summed up in you can say three basic ideas. The state is created by God. The king is divinely appointed. They are unanswerable to God alone, or they rule and to no human authority. In other words, the state and its laws are divine institution, and the government and the state is not answerable to anyone, to any people. They are not accountable. So therefore, to disobey the king is to disobey the God, or it is a crime but also a sin, because to disobey the laws of the state is really to disobey the laws of the God. So you have to uh, you know have legitimacy upon your king. You have to the accept the people who are meant to be the king, and who are chosen or appointed by the higher power such as God, or they have the religious control, that the state may have religious principles and values embedded in its laws and policies. Then there was another theory which was the daughter theory of divine right, which is was called the divine right of kings. It was originated when the king James of England, he quarreled with his parliamentarians because he claimed that a king can never be vicious. Even if a king is wicked, it means God has sent him as a punishment for the people's sin, and it is unlawful to shake off the burden which God has laid upon them. Thus, you can say King James justified the divine right of kings to do wrong and to be tyrant and oppressor of their people in the name of the God. The next theory is the theory of force. And according to this theory, the state is a child of force, that is, of aggression, war, and conquest and subjugation. In the primitive ages, a strong man or king, with the support of his warriors, subjugated the weaker man of his tribe and established the political relation of command and obedience. So you can say that the king has the ultimate authority, he has the ultimate power to do everything. He can be tyrant, he can be oppressor, and according to this theory, the use of force does not end with the establishment of state. So it does not mean that a state has been originated, and it does not mean that even if the state has been originated, the democracy has to come into force in the form of the government. According to the theory of force, the government will still be tyrant or oppressor upon his people. So the theory may be summarized as thus: the state is the outcome of human aggression in the past, and it's subsequently maintained, defended, or destroyed by force, coercion, and compulsion. The next theory is the social contract theory. Many philosophers, you can say Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, J.J. Rousseau, they presented their own version of social contract theory, and according to this theory, the Three things are very much important: voluntary agreement between, uh, you know, citizens, the citizens consent to have the social contract, and the government accountability. The social contract theory aims at the explanation of the origin of state and its jurisdiction. As you can say, regards by the evolution of state, this theory demarcates three stages: a state of nature, a social contract, and lastly, the civil society or the state. First thing is the state of nature. The state of nature is a state when it is a period of human existence, and when the man was found in the nature of state, he was uncontrolled by law or human imposition. He was guided by such regulations and nature itself prescribed for him. When the men of the state of nature were compelled to leave it, they entered into a voluntary but mutual agreement or contract to put an end to their lawless condition and establish a state or civil society. So, what was the reason of social contract? The reason was that in nature, state of nature, men considered lawlessness in its environment, because he considered every other man a threat to his life or to his belongings. So, because of this threat, all citizens of the community, they were, mutually um, assigned to have an agreement or contract in which they will, let go their natural rights, and they will then enter into such rights which will be prescribed by the social contract. So, logically speaking, there must be two contracts: a political contract or a social contract to organize the society, or for a political contract to organize the state. But the social contract theorists are not explicit on this point, and anyhow, as a result of this contract, the individuals basically gave up their national isolation and joined into one civil society or state. Each individual now submitted himself or herself to a joint control of all, and that was protected by all against the possible or hammer of any other. Next theory is patriarchal theory, where there was considered a male dominance, inequality, and gender role, or there was an emphasis on masculinity. So, in patriarchal society, according to this theory, the state is the enlargement of the family. The original family consisted of a father, a mother, or sometimes mothers, and their children, all of whom were under the complete authority of the father. In the course of time, the original family split up into as many families, as many sons of each, of whom become the paternal head of his individual family. But all these families remained united under the authority of the eldest living male among them. They basically formed a group of families. They were called clans, and later these clans were traced into their descent from common ancestor, real or supposed sometimes, formed by a tribe headed by a chief. So, in patriarchal theory, the origin was there is a father, and then there is a grandfather, and then they made a whole clan. They made the living, um, the old man their chief, and then there was, um, a tribe which was headed by a chief. So these tribes expanded into a commonwealth or state, and the patriarchal head over his wife, children, and servant, and sometimes slaves. So the family expanded into the state, and the father's authority was transformed onto the king's authority. So, according to this patriarchal theory, the institution of kingship is formed from the father. Once there was a father, he had his children, and he then became grandchildren, and then there were a tribe formed. He became the chief of the tribe, and there were many tribes, and then they became a state. So, according to patriarchal society, this is the you can say classification of a state. But in matriarchal theory, the theory starts with the idea that instead of the family and permanent marriage union, um, the primeval society consisted of matriarchal groups, which were also called as packs. Man was then in the hunting stage of primitive history. He depended on the bounty of nature and subsided on the fruits or berries of the forest. There were, intimate relationships prohibited between men and women within the same pack. But these intimate relationships between men and women were allowed in different packs because in patriarchal society there was a clan, but in matriarchal society, according to matriarchal theory, the group of people was called as pack, PACK, pack. So these relations were temporarily permitted between men and women of two definite packs, obviously, and they did not know their father in other pack, for the maternity was a fact, while the paternity was unknown. All relations of kingship and descent were traced only through the mother. So, in patriarchal theory, the family started with father, but in matriarchal theory, the family started with mother, and the mother is definite or non, but the father is not definite. The father is unknown. And at last, the matriarchal society changed. The factor of changes were the invention of tools and implementations, the domestication of animals, and the discovery of agriculture, where the men actively started participating in different areas of life, and these inventions and discoveries transformed into the evolutionary theory. And here comes the evolutionary theory, which stated primitive communities, tribal communities, and complex civilizations. Evolutionary theory implies that the modern society evolved from the primitive communities where the kingship and religion was the ultimate authority, to the tribal societies where the rise of economic class can be seen upon force and aggression was used to manipulate the economic class or the slaves in the name of work. They were given less wages and they have to do a lot of work. And to advance and complex civilization where the political consciousness and democracy is of utmost importance. So we are living in the complex civilization age where there is political consciousness, there is democracy in maximum countries of the world. So the theory states and suggests that the state is also a natural outgrowth of human social evolution. It sees the state as a progression from simpler form of social organization to a complex one. This theory provides a framework for the understanding the historical development of political systems. So there are a lot of political systems. You can say dictatorship, you can say democracy, authoritarianism, and a lot of other political systems. And it depends from country to country which political system a country is going to adopt. Either it is democracy, either it is dictatorship, either it is monarchy, aristocracy, any others. The evolutionary theory implies that the state has played a crucial role in human social progress and has evolved in response to changing societal needs. That's for today. See you tomorrow.